Assalamu alaikum, namaste, vanakkam, Sasrikal, Kamanachi, Kemcho, Majama. I hope all of you had a very nice weekend, and I think May 1st there was a very significant event which all of us must have noted. But I'm not talking about the Labor Day, but yes, it was about the UAE which got which left the OPEC group. So I think in today's video we all need to understand, is it really going to impact us, the global economies, and we need to understand how this is really going to shape up the world, the geopolitics evolving around us, our global business, trades, and is it really going to, impact our household consumption and any additional stuff. So I think we all should really understand, what is OPEC, and how this has evolved. I mean, people, all my viewers, I know most of us know it, but yes, even for the new young generation and our children and everybody needs to understand what really is this all about. So OPEC is one of the very old oil producing nations. It stands for Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. So they are one of the big consortium, how they control the global oil market, and without them, the demand and supply cannot be really controlled. They are the major key producers in the world, and they produce the oil, how much million barrels per day, and how much they really need to supply to the world is very key aspect of this group. So they were founded in 1960 in Baghdad, which is in Iraq, and they produce 30% of the world's global oil. So you have major countries like Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi, Venezuela, who have who are one of the key founders of, or I would say, the global members of the OPEC. And also there was another OPEC Plus which was formed in 2016, which had other countries. You had other countries like Russia coming in. You had also the other Sudan. You had South Sudan, and then you also had Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Bahrain. So you could see in the screen there are other OPEC Plus members, which had come into picture, and all the entire this consortium at least accounts for almost 50% of global crude export. So this really needs to we all of us should understand how this is really going to impact the entire global economy. So you see, Saudi Arabia produces almost 19 million barrels per day. Russia is 9.3. UAE is around 3.5 to 4 million barrels per day. So UAE, which has now come out of the OPEC, it's really a very big, I would say, big moment for the entire economies. But yes, it has also shaken the consortium of the oil producing countries. Now, if you see, just because UAE comes out of the picture, it does not mean that there will be less oil production. Yes, it has come out because it wants to produce more oil without any monopoly, because in these decades, every oil producing countries agreed to one kind of an formulation. Each country should produce this many million barrels per day, and then they control the price in the market. So that's how the oil doesn't just decide the petrol prices. It decides your freight costs, inflation, and even jobs. Now with UAE exiting OPEC, yes, the entire system is shifting. We also need to understand oil market is right now, it's moving from coordination to competition. So what happens is, what is the impact on the global freight? You will have your that is all the ships, the vessels which are carrying the bunker fuel. Yes, the oil will fall down for a medium term. Your freight costs will come down, and trade also will become cheaper. So what happens here, the companies who are benefiting, you are manufacturing, especially the importers, the e-commerce. So you have all these companies, who will try to make use of it in a very short term or medium term. And then you also have the volatility, which we all of us should really account, because since UAE is coming out, as I mentioned, there is no there will be not be a proper coordination, but yes, it's more of a competition where oil producing countries will compete against each other and will try to supply to the more open market. So you will see freight rate again will fluctuate. Your contracts, what we fix contracts with our carriers, they may fluctuate, they may become uncertain. And then you have your bunker fuel, which is one of the main component of any of the steamship companies. They may increase or they may they may increase or they may decrease. So it depends on the global market, how these conditions are going to play. Now, as we all know, if supply increases, yes, there is a price pressure. We have to these countries will have to cut down the price. But then the entire consortium, or as we said, the entire oil cartel, if that weakens, then the volatility rises. So now this is a key shift, from controlled pricing to market driven pricing. We all have to understand. Now the industries which will be hit first, I would say, yes, the oil producing companies in all these Middle East countries. You have big companies like Aramco, you have ADNOC, and etc. So they will have to they'll have to produce, depending on the consumption, how much there is demand in the global oil markets, from Southeast Asian nations, Europe, etc. So that has to be taken care. You have your energy companies, who will be seeing their margins getting eroded, and in this few months. So the most beneficiary, yes, the companies are like airlines. You have your logistics, shipping, and all manufacturing industries, and because this is for a short term. We see this is not going to be very big impactful, but yes, over a period of time, as I mentioned, since UAE coming out of the OPEC, this will create a volatility among the groups, and each Gulf regions will try to fight against each other and try to get a market share. So this is really important, and how this will affect, on our daily, household chores. So I'm coming to that. You will also see, India was buying oil from various countries like Iraq. Iraq was the main. I think before COVID, Iraq was the main oil supplier to India, and then you had Saudi Arabia overtaking it. And then after that, after COVID, since the oil production came down because of the COVID, and we could not see much supply in the market. And then it was Russia, which came into picture, and they were the major oil suppliers to India. So right now, India is buying. Because of this, India is still in a safe position, because in the last few weeks, yes, it has been talking to UAE, our external government, external affairs, and the government is talking to UAE to buy oil at spot prices. In fact, they have been buying it, from countries like Russia, because the US did lift some sanctions a couple of weeks back because of this Hormuz Strait that was closed, and that was impacting the entire global oil passage. So India is buying crude oil from Russia again on discounted. They are also buying from US few quantities, but not like much of the crude from Russia. And then you have Canada and Norway. So these are the countries where India is right now buying, on very spot prices. Now coming to what, as I said, for us, for India, the oil prices fall. Yes, we tend to our rupee will appreciate further on this, because yes, the dollar dominance will come down. Your import bill will come down. Inflation is also reduced, because your oil is now, it's going to be a very competition driven. So India benefits from low prices, but yes, it also suffers from unstable prices. So as I mentioned, if volatility increases or rises, your budget planning becomes difficult. There'll be currency fluctuations, and fuel pricing will be uncertain, as because of there is not a controlled mechanism right now with the OPEC, as as countries are now battling along. So this is a very important moment, right now in the current markets, and we really need to be optimistic. We really need to monitor and see how things are going to really things are how going to turn out. So it's not like, I would not say that this is it's more of a short-term dip, but yes, it will be followed by spikes. We'll have to expect then and there swings. There will be no stability, and yes, because of this, if there's any impact on the jobs, it depends. You'll not have a direct impact, but logistics, airlines, they may benefit. You have your oil sectors which will be really under pressure, because yes, the oil falls down, the price falls down, so they have to sell to the consumers at a little bit at a cheaper rate. So it's a very important very important moment in this history, how we are going to see whether the world will be really disrupted because of this OPEC cartel. So we'll have to wait and watch. You may not work in oil, or all of us, we don't. We work in different sectors of company, but yes, oil prices really affect our job, our expenses, and our future. So that's very important. And even if you see the global supply demand balance, in this chart, it is very much clear how the global production, in 2019, before COVID, it was almost, if you see the blue color, which is the global production, it was almost 100 million barrels they used to produce per day. And right now, in that time, your consumption was also more, it was more. So the supply was more than your demand. And when we fell into COVID, yes, you could see how it really dropped. Your global production was still hovering around 90 or 92 million barrels, but then the consumption was very low. It fell down around 86 million barrels. And then from 2021, it slightly grew, it slightly increased. There was really improvement, and there was not much difference between the global production and the consumption. So that's one of the key historical lines, or you would see in this chart. If you talk about the Brent crude price, yes, dollar per barrel, the way your crude, in the last 6 years, if you see prior to COVID 2020, yes, the price was hovering around $60, $65 or $70 per barrel, and then it fell down drastically to around average of $20 per barrel in 2020, and then slightly after the Russia-Ukraine war, it again shot up in 2022. Yes, it was going more than $1,800 per barrel, and then as the market started going down, yes, it fell down, and it was hovering around $85 per barrel. And now again in 2026, yes, as we have seen, it has crossed more than $100. It's $120 per barrel. But yes, these are the prices which have been hovering around in the oil market. And last, you could also see how India is really was exporting oil from all these major countries. And in this chart, yes, we still see the red line, which is Russia, still supplies 35% of their oil to India. So you could see Iraq's position, where it was in 2021, it was supplying around 6.7%, as I mentioned, and then the second supplier was Saudi Arabia, and now you have UAE, which is backing up in the crude oil supplies to India. So this is a very beneficiary, I would say, factor for India, where you would see more oil supplies to coming to India. So I think today's topic is really very much crucial for us, because we really need to understand, we need to understand some sectors may face short-term pain before the long-term gain. So that's very important. And we are, as I mentioned again and again, we are moving from a controlled oil market to a competitive oil market. So these are all a very new experience for all of us, which we'll have to watch out in the next few weeks, what are the actions, what the governments will do, and we really need to be alert. So this is not just about a cheaper oil, but yes, it's about the world where no one controls oil prices anymore, and that makes the global economy more unpredictable. So this is I conclude today's video. Please feel free to share your thoughts, your comments, and I would be happy. We could have a healthy debate on this. But yes, also please feel free to subscribe to my channel at M1 Mbala. Till then, take care, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.